Well, thanks guys. Like Nate said, we are here to do our Mod Podge pumpkin party. Super excited to have you guys here joining us. Anybody who doesn't know, my name is Steven and I'm here watching the chat, just kind of making sure everything, any questions you guys have get relayed to Emma if I can't answer them myself. So yeah, if you have any questions at all, be sure to leave them there and we'll get them answered best we can. So Emma, how many pumpkins do we have in front of you? Just like in your immediate area?
We have a lot of pumpkins over here, Stephen.
Yeah.
Probably say we're going to show a lot of different tips and tricks and techniques. All the ones you see here, we're going to talk about each and every one of them. There is lots of great Mod Podge techniques that I get to teach you all today, so I'm super excited.
Awesome.
Yeah, okay, so thanks for that introduction, Stephen. Like Stephen and Nate said, welcome to our class today. We're so excited to have you here. Hopefully by the end of the class, you will learn a new favorite technique to take into your own Halloween crafting at home. So let's go ahead and get started. So there's two big Mod Podge products that we listed in the class supply list that we wanted you guys to bring to the class today or think about purchasing to craft with later. And that's an original Mod Podge formula. So that could be our gloss, our satin, or our matte. And we talked about Mod Podge Ultra, which is a spray Mod Podge. If you've never heard of Mod Podge Ultra before, it is fairly new to the Mod Podge line. It's one of our favorites. It's water resistant, unlike just normal traditional Mod Podge. There's no brush strokes because it's a spray, which is a total game changer. So we love that. And I'm going to kind of go over all of the different tips and techniques that we'll touch in the class today to get you guys excited. And if you're crafting along with me today, so that you know what to have in front of you. So like we said, Mod Podge, you're going to want to have a brush to brush your Mod Podge on with, which I don't know if I have. Jake, would you mind grabbing me a brush? Yeah. Okay, next you're going to need some yarn. Okay, you see in this really cute trick or treat pumpkin we have here. Some napkins. So you can grab any kind of napkins you want. It's always great to have some party napkins like stored in a junk drawer at home or in your craft room. If you find a napkin that you like, you can always craft with it and break out your Mod Podge supply. So that's what we did with these here, with these spooky little creepy crawly guys. And I'll talk more about that later. Tissue paper, crepe paper. Oh, glitter. We don't have one shown, but I'm going to show you guys the best ways how to glitter a pumpkin. And then I think that's it. So let's get started, you guys. We'll start off with an easy one. We'll start off with our tissue paper pumpkin. So it doesn't matter what kind of tissue paper you want to use. The one thing I would recommend is I like to start with a lighter color pumpkin. You see how our pumpkin here is white? That just lets the tissue paper be its truest color. It makes the colors pop and stay really vibrant. So it's good to always base coat your pumpkin with a lighter color whenever you're using tissue paper. There are my scissors, just had them. Okay, another little tip that I like to give is you want to keep your tissue paper in a stack. That way, when you're cutting out your little shapes, it just makes the process a lot quicker and a lot easier. So remembering all those tips, we're going to grab our hot pink color and our light pink. We're going to make sure that they're nice and even so that we don't get any irregular shapes in our stack of tissue paper. Put our white aside. And following with our original design, we're going to go ahead and cut little triangle shapes. So you guys, this is a great one to do at home with kids. You can take this technique and use it for more than just pumpkins. It's a fun little craft to do on a rainy day. And the opportunities are really endless with this one because you can do so many different shapes, so many different colors, so many different surfaces. Really easy.
I've got a good question for you. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
Can these products be used on real pumpkins?
So we get that question a lot, and they definitely can. The Mod Podge will adhere to a real pumpkin really well, but I prefer to craft on faux pumpkins just because if I'm spending so much time and effort working on a craft project, then I want it to last for longer than just one season. So it totally will work, but it's just my preference to use the faux pumpkins. And the great thing about that too is that Michael's has the best selection of faux pumpkins on the market. So if you haven't gone on store or checked out online, I'm sure you all have, check out their faux pumpkins. They're awesome. Okay, so we have all of our cute little triangles. And we're going to bust open our Mod Podge Gloss. So like I said too, any of our original Mod Podge formulas will work just great with this. And keeping in mind, if you were to want to put this pumpkin outside for Halloween, we have a great Mod Podge outdoor formula, which is available at Michael's. So you would just, use it like regular Mod Podge to adhere your tissue paper to your pumpkins, and then you would seal it as well with the Mod Podge outdoor to keep it lasting outside. So another thing too, a lot of times tissue paper will have a matte side and then it'll have a satin side. So that's just something to be mindful of as well. If you're not planning on sealing it with the Mod Podge, that you know which side is shown. And then this is really the fun part, you guys. I like to have, got a hair on it. I like to have the shapes of my tissue paper shapes kind of like alternating. So maybe sometimes they line up, sometimes they're facing away from each other.
So Emma, somebody just asked where can they go to get more information on Mod Podge? They have a couple of questions, but not related to anything that we're doing today.
Okay.
I would suggest checking out plaidonline.com and go into our Mod Podge, I guess, section of our website. Is that, I think there's a lot of info on there and a lot of good inspiration for other crafts.
Absolutely. You can definitely go on plaidonline.com. We have lots of frequently asked questions about all of our different Mod Podge products. Also, we are the makers of Mod Podge here at Plaid. So if you have a specific question, even if it's not quite related to this class, I'm sure we could answer it for you here. Yeah, but definitely. If definitely Plaid Online. That's a great resource to find out answers to questions. Okay, you guys, so it's looking super cute. And I just kind of like to pat it down and smooth it out with my finger. If you have a Mod Podge tool at home, like a brayer or a squeegee, I don't usually love to use them with my pumpkins just because my pumpkins are don't have a straight edge and they're rounded. I just like to use my fingers, make sure I'm getting it in all the little grooves of my pumpkin. And then it turns out really cute like that. So I would just continue the pattern all along my pumpkin until we get something like this. And then once you're done, you would want to seal your pumpkin and then you're good to go.
And you would seal it just by covering it with the same Mod Podge that you used to apply it, right?
Exactly. So I would wait for this to dry, and this will dry in about, give it 30 minutes. And then I would go ahead and apply a top coat of my Mod Podge gloss, and then it'll be sealed and you're ready to go.
Very cool.
Yeah, so let's do an exciting one next. We'll break out the glitter. So this is another super simple one. And if you are not a fan of glitter, then you might want to look away for this one. It's a messy one, I'm going to warn you guys, but it's really, really fun. Okay, so I always like to have, whenever I'm doing a project like this with glitter, I like to have a sheet of wax paper or just a regular piece of printer paper even. That way I can collect my leftover glitter that falls to my workspace and kind of use it like this and make a little funnel to just slide it back into the vessel that it was originally. So we just base coated this little pumpkin red, nothing special. We didn't even really worry about making it that opaque because it is going to be covered in glitter. So we don't need to worry about it. Okay, we're gonna break out I probably should just stop rinsing off this brush because it's gonna be covered in Mod Podge probably for the whole class. All right, so for this one, you are just gonna wanna cover your entire pumpkin in Mod Podge, okay? And you know, our Mod Podge has a pretty good, a long amount of open time, so you don't have to worry about it drying too quickly. So we're gonna work in big sections.
And in case anyone hasn't used Mod Podge before, it always applies white but dries clear. So you don't have to worry about having this white layer to your project.
Yeah, that's great to point out, Stephen. Thank you.
Oh, here's a good question from Christina. Are there any special methods to washing brushes that have used Mod Podge that maybe have got some on them or like, leftover kind of dried bits?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the best thing to do when you're washing Mod Podge from your brush is to just always have a water basin when you're working with it, to stick your brush in there so that the Mod Podge doesn't harden to the brush. The greatest thing about Mod Podge is that it's non-toxic and water-based, so it's really easy to clean from your brushes. You can just do it with some warm water, and if you really want to, some soap as well.
What about a foam brush?
That's the same thing too. You just want to work with a water basin, make sure that you're putting your brush in your water basin when you're not using it so that it doesn't harden, but same sort of deal. You can use soap and obviously water. Okay, so now we have our glitter. It doesn't really matter what size glitter you use. I prefer fine glitter because I feel like it gets to all of the spaces of the pumpkin better, but any kind of size glitter will work just fine for this. All right, and this is the fun part. We're just gonna go in. So I like to start at the top and make sure that all of my surface area is covered, so I don't make a total mess. When I start to go down, I just kind of want to dump my initial layer so that it doesn't fly everywhere.
Okay, I've got another question for you, Emma.
Okay.
So if your Mod Podge project comes out a little sticky even after sealing it, is there a way that you could, like a method to preventing that from happening again in the future?
So, Mod Podge takes, I don't even know the exact number for you, but I'm sure maybe Stephen can figure out and just place it in the chat. Mod Podge takes, about 30 minutes to an hour to dry, but then it also takes some time to cure. So eventually, once the Mod Podge has finished that curing process, it won't be so tacky anymore. So it's really a time thing for our original Mod Podge formula. But another thing, the great thing about our Mod Podge Ultra is that in no point of using it is it ever tacky. So if you wanted to try our Mod Podge Ultra formula, that would be a great thing to pick up the next time you go to Michael's and see how you like it. It's one of the awesome benefits of it. Okay, just make sure you get all the little parts of your pumpkin.
And you were not kidding when you said there's going to be glitter everywhere.
I know. I'm sorry if this is giving anybody anxiety at home, but that's why we have our wax paper, okay? This glitter is not going to stay here, trust me. But look how cute that is. So you get a totally sparkly, glittered out pumpkin that will look so cute on your porch or in a little vanity area or like a little washroom in your house. So stinking cute. And really easy. Okay, so to clean up, we're gonna fold it up so it looks like a taco. And so carefully holding it at the bottom because we don't want, you see what I'm doing? We're gonna hold it at this bottom because we don't want it to kind of collapse in the middle. And we're gonna put the spout almost by our thing of glitter. Ta-da!
Okay, could you spray the glitter pumpkin with Ultra to have maybe less of the sequins and the little glitter pieces come off maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. That is a great thing. So you could seal it with your Mod Podge Gloss, which is what we would eventually end up doing, or you could spray it with the Mod Podge Ultra. And like we said, this Mod Podge Ultra is water resistant. So that means that it can hold up well on its own outside. So that would be a great idea to seal your glitter pumpkin with the Mod Podge Ultra. Great. All right, so let's move on to something else that's super fun. Let's move on to this pumpkin. So I'm going to show you guys how to shape these letters with yarn. And you guys can see this yarn is really, really stiff. So that's another benefit of Mod Podge Ultra, is that it is a really, really good stiffener. And I'll show you how it works.
And Emma, just before we get started on this one, do you think you can hold the Mod Podge bottle or both of them up to the camera just so people can get a good look at what they might be looking for in a store?
Yeah, of course. So our Mod Podge Ultra, it comes in an 8 ounce, and it comes in a gloss finish, and it also comes in a matte finish, and it comes in an 8 ounce size as well as a 4 ounce size. So lots of options for you to choose from with 2 different beautiful sheens. So that's our Mod Podge Ultra. And so this label is red, and our other label is yellow, the matte. And then this is a classic original Mod Podge Gloss. But for most of these that we're using with Mod Podge Gloss, either satin or matte original formula Mod Podge would work well too. Okay, so we have some white yarn here. Getting ahead of myself. I'm gonna actually lay down another piece of wax paper. And I'm going to go ahead and start unraveling a piece of yarn. And what I want to do is I kind of want to eyeball the phrase that I want to be on my pumpkin. So I think for this one, we're going to do the number 31. So I'm just really kind of eyeballing, giving myself more room if I need it. So we got our 3 here. So I like to give myself a little bit of extra room, okay? So because we can always cut some off, but we can't add more string. So this will be fine. And then our number 1, this will be fine too. All right, so now that we have our 2 pieces of string that we're going to be working with and molding into the letters and numbers that we want, we're going to lay them on our wax paper, use our Mod Podge Ultra, and we're going to spray the yarn.
So you're not spraying it while it's in shape already. You're just kind of getting it going before.
Exactly. So we really just want to dampen this yarn so that it gets nice and wet. And then we're going to mold it. And actually, the fact that it does become wet makes it a lot easier to work with. But the reason that we're making it wet is because the Mod Podge Ultra stiffens the yarn, and it's going to be stiff, and it's going to adhere to the pumpkin. Okay, just make sure you kind of mess with it a little bit. Make sure it is well incorporated in on your string. Okay. So we don't want it dripping, but we definitely want it to feel wet, okay? And grab your 2 pieces of string. We'll move the wax paper out of the way. And this is where I was getting ahead of myself.
So at the point that the spray is on now, like you've just sprayed your string, is it already kind of getting tacky and sticky a little bit?
That's a great question. So Mod Podge Ultra actually never really does get tacky and sticky. and it takes quite a while for it to harden. So this will probably start to harden in about an hour. So we have a lot of working time with this. So that's a great thing to ask. Thanks, Stephen.
It gives you lots of time to get your lettering just how you want it.
Exactly. Yes. Okay, so let's start to mold this baby. So you can kind of tell too, it kind of wants to cling to the pumpkin because it is damp. So let me know if my head gets in the way. Whenever I get really into something on a class, my head always, like I do this. That means I'm really focused. Okay, so we have our 3, and as you can see, we have a little bit too much string, but that's what we were talking about earlier. We'd better have, or we'd rather have more string than less string. So we're gonna just snip it off. See, and already, I mean, that baby doesn't want to come off. Just make sure you pat it down because we just really want to make sure that it's touching all of the surface area of the pumpkin that we want it to, because of course the Mod Podge Ultra is not only stiffening the yarn, but it's also adhering the yarn to the pumpkin. Okay, now to mold our 1. Look how cute. All right. And again, we're just going to snip off that extra yarn. How cute is that, you guys?
I love that. That's super easy too.
Yeah, super easy. So you see what just happened? It just wanted to come off a little bit. If you're finding that your yarn is drying a little bit, or you missed a spot, you can go ahead and actually spray your yarn right on the pumpkin, and that'll really help it stick.
It would even be cool to like combine this with the paper one and have some sort of designs around your lettering and stuff with the napkins or tissue paper.
Yeah, I love that idea. And so another thing too, you guys, you just want to let it lay flat, lay flat. You don't want to stand it upright because you want it to dry and not fall off.
Somebody asked the question, if it's not tacky, how does it adhere? And yeah.
I obviously don't know the science behind it. You'll have to pick up a bottle and really try for yourself. I mean, we've done so many really cool things with Mod Podge Ultra that sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe it got that stiff, or I can't believe that's really sticking to it. We've done lots of stone mosaics with Mod Podge Ultra. We'll use like those little, pebbles, like glass pebbles, and put them on trays just with our Mod Podge Ultra, no hot glue or anything. And I mean, it is like 10 times stronger than hot glue. It blows my mind. Like if you wanted to remove it, you'd have to pry it off. It is really, really, really strong. So it's also one of the only Mod Podges that really does have that much strength in it. So it's a really great product. I hope you guys decide to pick some up at Michael's or on michaels.com.
Yeah, I think when we say that it's not tacky, just like when you're handling the string and it's on your hands and stuff, it's not going to stick, but by the time it dries to your surface, it'll definitely adhere.
Yes, but like the texture of it too. I mean, it's a liquid, unlike regular Mod Podge. I mean, can you guys see that? It's like magic.
Mm-hmm.
It really is not tacky. Okay, so next let's do our little pumpkin mummy.
I think these are my favorite.
You think?
I love these.
Okay, so not actually as much Mod Podge used in this little guy as you might think, only certain areas. So the things that we need to make this pumpkin are, of course, a tiny, cute little pumpkin. Some of your favorite paint. Our favorite is FolkArt acrylic paint. Either the multi-surface or the regular acrylic will work great for this pumpkin. As you can see, we base coated this little guy and painted some eyeballs on him. And next you're going to need some crepe paper. So as you can see, this crepe paper is a lot thinner than this. And that's because we just cut this in half. So we're going to pull a piece of crepe paper from the roll and cut it off. And then we're going to kind of fold it again. Not fold it completely where we're creating a seam, but just fold it so it lays on top of each other, if that makes sense. We're kind of stacking it again like we did with the tissue paper. And that way it's just a lot easier to cut in half. Okay. So we're going to jump right back into using our original Mod Podge formula. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start by adhering a piece of my crepe paper to the back of my pumpkin. So I'm going to dip my brush in Mod Podge, and I'm going to really like start right here, right in the center back of my pumpkin. And I'm going to place my crepe paper here on my Mod Podge, make sure it's really on there. You'll kind of be able to tell because the crepe paper will almost go clear. Crepe paper is water soluble. So another thing I want to point out is you don't want to put Mod Podge on the entirety of your crepe paper, only certain areas where you want it to kind of touch down on your pumpkin, or else it will look clear like that. Okay, and now another fun part, you just kind of get to wrap it around your mummy and bandage him up. Kind of crissing and crossing. So maybe we'll go back here, we'll come around there, just so you get some like interesting patterns going on. And then whenever you want to secure your crepe paper again, you just touch down with some more Mod Podge. Like I would do it on the bottom or the back of your pumpkin so that it's not really visible. And then make sure it's really secure on there. Ooh, we're losing him. And like we said, you'll be able to tell if it's really secure because it'll go clear. So cute. And then you can trim off the extra. And since we have two pieces, we can just start again. So we'll start again from the back and fill in some of that empty space. And if I really want the crepe paper to go over an area and I don't want it to look awkward, like it's, you know, jumping a bunch of different spots, then I kind of like to, before I stick it down in Mod Podge it, I like to just kind of see how I need to get it there, if that makes sense. So we can stick it down here. Wrap it around. And adhere it to the back again. And now we're going to just trim off all the excess. You can either really trim it off or you can glue it down, whatever you want to do. And then you end up with him. How cute is that?
Super cute.
Okay, and finally, guys, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to add napkin details to your pumpkins. And I'd love to know in the comments section, you guys, which was your favorite technique to learn about today. Maybe one that you weren't expecting to be excited about, but you got inspired by it. Which one you're going to plan to do at home. Okay, so we have these really cute bug napkins. That are adorable. And one thing I want to start by saying is usually napkins have 2 to 3 plies on them. So you really want to be mindful of that when you're wanting to add it to your crafts, because if you were not to remove the excess plies, just the plain white ones that don't have the pattern on them, then you would run the risk of getting a lot of wrinkled patterns onto your design, if that makes sense. So what I like to do is you want to remove all of the plies that aren't the pattern. And I like to do that by just placing a little bit of Mod Podge on my fingers, kind of rubbing it together until my fingers get nice and tacky. And you don't have to worry about that being bad for you, because Mod Podge is water-based and non-toxic. So it's okay if you get a little bit on your fingers, a little bit on your hands, nothing to worry about. And then I like to pull my plies apart now that my fingers are nice and tacky. Sometimes it's a little tricky to get it started if you've ever tried before. Do you have any answers to that question, Stephen?
Yeah, I think I've seen just about every one. People love the glitter pumpkin. People love the mummy. Leslie had a funny comment when you pulled out that napkin that you're working with. She said, "Who would wipe their mouth with that?" I agree. It is kind of, you know, if that got put down in front of me, I'd probably look twice at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe at a really spooky party you would.
Yeah.
Okay.
We use this particular pattern for crafting all the time, so I've only ever seen it used like on pumpkins and things like that.
Yes, maybe it's
Yeah.
questionable to have at a fancy dinner party, but for Halloween crafting, it is very cute.
It's perfect.
It is perfect. Okay, so you always want to check. Sometimes napkins really do have 2 plies, but sometimes you get tricked with 3 plies and then your pattern gets a little bit wrinkly. So just go ahead and check again. Start at a place where you don't want, where you're not going to worry about the pattern or design ripping. So start at a corner that you don't care about. Okay, and I think we really just have 2 plies here. So another thing I like to do is, since this napkin is a little bit of an off gray pattern, I am going to go ahead and I said pattern, I meant color. I'm going to go ahead and paint my pumpkin a very similar color. This really off, this light gray color, okay? And that way it's kind of the same deal that we have going on with our tissue paper pumpkin. Our pattern is going to shine through and be very vibrant. And it's also not going to be so drastic when we cannot cut right up against our, you know, creepy crawlies, antennas, or legs, because that would be a nightmare to cut out. So we're just going to get as close as we can to our pattern and not worrying about really lining up directly next to it. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to cut out our shapes. So we're going to get really close to our little bugs, but we're not going to worry about getting right up against them, because that's why we painted our pumpkin that off gray color. So we didn't have to work smarter, not harder. And two, if you were to paint your pumpkin like a really dark blue or really dark purple or black even, then you would also run the risk of your pattern not even really showing up. I found that when you're Mod Podging napkins to things, it's better to have a lighter base coated color so that the pattern on your napkin really shines through. So you just want to get as close as you can. And once I'm done, I'll show you guys how close I'm getting. Very doable. You see? Okay. Now, I'm gonna grab our pumpkin, grab our Mod Podge.
And since you grabbed that brush just then, there was a comment earlier that somebody pointed out how cute the little pattern on the brush is. And those are our Mod Podge brushes, aren't they?
Yeah, they are our Mod Podge brushes. They're super, super cute.
Yeah, and you can see on the scissors there too, it's the similar pattern.
Yeah. Okay, so we're just going to apply our Mod Podge to a patch on our pumpkin. And whenever you're applying Mod Podge, you don't have to really put so much on there. You can be a little bit sparing with your usage of it. As long as you just get a nice thin coat, you don't want to have globs of Mod Podge on your surface. Okay, now we're just going to lay our napkin down. And one thing I want to be mindful of is how many grooves this pumpkin has, okay? So I'm going to start at a point of my pumpkin where it's kind of more outward. So I'm going to touch down there and kind of smooth it out just with my fingers. And then I'm going to even use my, all the parts of my finger, my fingernail to really get my napkin into the groove. I'll get a little bit closer so you guys can see, but I don't want to create any bubbles. So I'm really, wherever I touch down from first, so it's going to be like the edge of my napkin, and then I'm going to work outwards like this, pushing the air out so that I don't trap any air underneath, causing any bubbles or any creases or any wrinkles. You end up with that. See, and it looks seamless.
Emma, there's a comment that I want to share with you.
Okay, I'm excited.
Someone said, I really appreciate all these classes that we're doing with Michaels. It's so good to see some of these amazing ideas and also how to use Mod Podge as well as other materials. And they say, thank you, Plaid, and thank you, Michaels. You're a very good instructor. And they find each of our instructors wonderful. That is such a sweet comment. Thank you very much.
Yeah, seriously, that is such a sweet comment. And we absolutely adore being here with you guys and being able to teach these classes. It really is a highlight of my weeks for sure. I love chatting with you guys and getting to teach you fun new tips and hopefully inspiring you. So that's awesome to hear. Thanks for saying that. Okay, so my friend cut out some more shapes for me prior to this class so that you wouldn't have to see me cut out like 100 bugs. And we are just going to keep placing them on here. And so it'd be cute if they're going in different directions. So let's do that. We're going to kind of have our touchdown point and then work our way out from that.
So Emma, if you had a heavier paper like gift wrap or like magazine cutouts, would you still think that this would work for that?
I think it would. And I would be careful of the design size. So these bugs are pretty big in regard to how big our pumpkin is. So it's best to have like a napkin or tissue paper or something like that. But if I were to use like cardstock or regular scrapbook paper, then I would try to go for a smaller design size just for ease of use, like something this big so that I don't have to worry so much about having to work around all of the grooves of my pumpkin and stuff like that. And Michael's has some really cute napkins. Like we said before, when you have dinner parties, save those napkins because you never know when you can use really cute patterns for a really cute craft one day. Okay, so what you would do is just like you see here, you would just keep putting your cute little bugs all over your pumpkin. And I don't know if you guys can see that well. I hope you can. but you see kind of the iridescence on these bugs. Well, as you can see, our napkins, the bugs do not come like that. So I'll show you an awesome product that we use to make that happen. So FolkArt has a product called FolkArt Dragonfly Glaze that is available at Michael's. It comes in a variety of different colors, and it's a top coat that you can add to your paintings, obviously your craft projects that really add some sparkle and uniqueness to your projects at home. So I'm going to show you guys what it looks like on our bugs. Did I drop mine? Yep. Okay. Oh, I'm moving the table. Sorry. Okay. All right, you guys. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add our dragonfly right on top of our little bugs. And the dragonfly glaze actually looks really, really nice on these darker colored bugs. It really makes it pop.
Add a little bit of contrast.
Yeah, for sure. You see that?
Yeah, we can see it. A little shimmer.
Yeah, and it's a tiny bit milky when you first put it on, but once it dries totally clear and it ends up looking like this. And so we use a bunch of different formulas of dragonfly glaze. On this pumpkin, as you can see, we have like this kind of reddish purple, and then here we have like a blue green kind of deal. So we used a bunch of different formulas of dragonfly glaze on this pumpkin, and it ended up really cool. And then of course on top, we used our FolkArt Treasure Gold, which I hope you guys have heard about before. We've had a lot of classes this year, Halloween classes showcasing our FolkArt Treasure Gold, but it is the most metallic craft paint on the market that is non-toxic. I mean, it really, when you apply it to your project, it really is like looking through a mirror. I'm not just saying this, but every time I use it, I am so impressed. I forget how awesome it is. So it comes in a variety of different colors. You have your classic metallic colors like gold and silver and rose gold and copper, but then you also have some really pretty jewel tone colors like purples and greens and blues and pinks as well.
So Judy just asked what the name of the product is again, and I'm not sure if she was referring to Dragonfly or Treasure Gold, but that's what we're kind of working with right now at the moment. So FolkArt Treasure Gold is what we're talking about.
Yes, absolutely. And we just used FolkArt Dragonfly Glaze. I'll show you guys the bottle so you can look for it in the store or online. And of course, it's in the supply list for the class today. So you can always check back on that and see anything that you're interested in. Okay. So the treasure gold that I brought to class today is Mayan gold, which is my favorite color. It is this kind of almost pale, really beautiful off gold color. I'm going to apply a little bit to my palette here. I mean, look how pretty it is too, even on the plate. It's really pretty. And we talked about this in I think class we did last week, but Jessie Jennings shared a really awesome tip on one of our plaid classes to base coat your surface black before you put a metallic coat on top of it. It really helps the metallic pop, and it allows you to not have to paint so many coats on top of your surface. So that is a great tip, and it is one that I will definitely use from now on. So that is why our stem is black.
And guys, I just want to mention, I did see a comment about somebody saying they just joined late, but we dropped a link in the chat that lets you know that class is being recorded and it'll be uploaded to Michael's Store's YouTube channel in about 24 hours. And then it'll appear on michaels.com/past classes later on their website. So yeah, so you can always go back and watch what you missed.
All right, you guys, so that's one coat. And you get that beautiful metallic sheen. And I would probably put like just one more coat on it, but look already how shiny that is. It's really, really pretty. And I'll show you. So that's our Mayan gold color. And then this was just our original gold, treasure gold. And obviously you can see just how metallic it is. The camera doesn't even do it justice. I would definitely recommend buying a bottle of treasure gold so you can see it for yourself. A bottle goes a really, really long way. So you can add it to all of your projects in like a color scheme that you love.
And what specific color of treasure gold was this?
So the one I just used is Mayan gold.
Mayan gold.
Yeah, available at Michael's, of course, my favorite color, but there's lots of really pretty colors to choose from. So yeah.
And then I have one more question for you. Jumping back to our string pumpkin. So does the ultra on the string, does it take paint? So like if it's dry, could you go back over it and paint? I think that's what they're asking, like add another coat or a different color or something.
Yeah, that's a great question. I love the idea too. You just inspired me. That'd be so cute if you put some, if you stiffened your yarn and then you painted over it. So you just saw the texture and you kind of had like a monochromatic pumpkin, like painted over the string purple again, just so you had like a little bit of a raised string texture to it. That would be super cute. But as you can see here, we had like just some white string, and then we painted over the string with our treasure gold. So yes, you absolutely can. Once your string is hardened to your surface and it's totally dry, you can get a small brush and go over it with a color of your choice. That's what we did here.
Okay. And then I think people wanted to just take another look at the Dragonfly again, FolkArt Dragonfly, because they may have missed where we used that sort of holographic paint.
Yeah, here you guys can see. So we used it right over our little napkins. It's a great little additive to your projects to add some more spice to your Mod Podge projects.
Okay, awesome.
All right, no more questions?
One more. What color is the painted, what color was the paint on that iridescent pumpkin? I guess the one with the, like the color shifts.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mentioned this too, but this, of course, this whole pumpkin is covered in Dragonfly glaze. I was so much focusing on this other Mod Podge pumpkin that I didn't even think of this. This is base coated in Dragonfly glaze. Hello. So yes, so this is just like a black pumpkin, and then we applied on top of it our Dragonfly top coat glaze. So this obviously really, I'm so angry with myself, really shows you the effects of the Dragonfly glaze and how beautiful it is, and it's iridescent.
That's great that we're talking about this now, because someone said that they saw it in a store and didn't know how to use it or what it was used for. So now you know.
Now it's just a top coat. You use it just like regular acrylic paint on top of your projects, and it is beautiful. It's great for accents like we've been talking about the whole class, and it's great for larger surface areas like we've been talking about for the last 30 seconds.
Awesome. Well, I think that pretty much covers all our questions.
Awesome. So I just want to thank you guys all again for joining us for another awesome class. I feel so honored that I get to be here with you guys and teach you some tips and tricks and hopefully inspire you to make some wonderful projects of your own. Check us out. We're here every week doing a crafting class with Michaels, and also we do a Monday night paint class every week as well. So those are always a blast, and we teach you how to paint a painting in just about an hour. So like always, we want to thank you to Michaels. We want to thank you for all of you guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.